this is Roshi's rant, and this is the segment where we will be discussing a topic. And this week's topic is, which Z Saga was Vegeta most impactful in? So, what do you think?
Personally, for me, it's gonna have to be the Boo Saga.
Ooh, interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
why?
Well, if I look as a quick rundown, we'll talk about it in a bit of depth. But for me, in the Saiyan Saga, yeah, he's the main bad guy. But when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, does he really do much as the main bad guy other than fight Goku? You could really arguably interchange him with any bad guy for the most part. He's just a generic bad guy. There's not a lot of depth to him. You find out he's the principal Saiyans, but other than that, not. Or you find out he's a really bad dude.
Yeah, this is true. I
Yeah.
guess to defend him a little bit, you could
Oh,
say,
don't get me wrong. You know I love Vegeta,
of
but
course, the
yeah,
saying,
but
saying he's
it's not
a
his strongest saga.
saying he's an
Yeah,
interchangeable bad guy. Oh, uh,
yeah,
but I guess I know where you come from at the time. He is the
yeah.
first big bad of Dragon Ball, if you don't count Raditz. Um,
Nobody can
nobody counts Raditz. But yeah, finding out he's like the strength of 10 Raditz, and then, he doesn't. His first attack is killing Nappa in one hit, and then
yeah,
like you're like, oh, okay, this guy's strong, and yeah, he is strong, and because of that saga, arguably, it sets up everything going forward. But I know what you mean, and I also haven't picked the Saiyan saga as his most impactful. I actually picked the Frieza saga. Um,
yeah.
but before I jump into that, do you want to go through more of why the Buu saga is most impactful for him?
Well, for me, the Boo Saga is when you say impactful. I don't think it's impactful, good or bad. I think what has an impact is both,
Mm.
and everything in that saga. The fact that um, obviously he lets himself get taken over by Babidi
Hmm.
because his his arc up until now has finally become where he's starting to care. So he's
Mm.
gone from the Saiyan Saga Vegeta, and he's now a family man. He's got kids. He cares about people,
Yeah.
um, and and he can't handle that. And he's to me, he's scared of that, and that's why he lets Babidi take over so he can be the true warrior that he always wanted to be. He then he comes in that tournament, and I'm kind of biased here because it's one of my favorite moments in Dragon Ball is him against Goku in the martial arts tournament stadium
Mm.
when he blows up the stadium and everything like that. It puts by that speech. It's a very powerful speech.
Yeah.
Um,
Goes back to
and
his
then
evil roots.
yeah, basically, um, and his debt must be paid. It's just such a line. I love
Mm.
it. But from a story perspective, also the fight that they lead into between Goku and Majin Vegeta awakens Boo. The energy that they put together fighting each other is what causes Boo to awaken.
Mm.
You see a lot of growth through him. You see his final atonement as well. Him accepting that at the end of it, that Goku is in fact number one. He's the stronger one.
Hmm.
He also he decides to take the beating from Kid Buu. He knows he's not strong enough to do it, so he basically just says, "Right, you're the one who can do it.
Mm.
So I'm just happy to take the battering, while you are the one that can win it for us."
Yep.
He finally comes to terms with it, and before that, if you ever suggested Vegeta would do something like that, it's just not happening. And it's nice to see growth from a character like that. Like Vegeta was always the character that had the potential for growth. Like Goku's
Yeah.
always just going to be the happy-go-lucky fighter, isn't he? Like Gohan obviously had a lot of chance for growth and everything, but he peaked. Cell Saga.
It did, unfortunately, but yes, he did.
Yes, sadness. But I just feel like there was a lot to him. There was the good, there was the bad, there was what he actually did in terms of the story. I just feel like he impacted the story, but also he is himself as a character. You saw a lot more of him,
Mm.
and so I can. I kind of thought about the Frieza saga, and there's a lot there, and he does matter well, he matters in all of it, obviously, but it does have an impact in the Frieza saga. But I think the story and character, and I think that's why it has the most impact. Because some of the most memorable scenes for me in Dragon Ball are things like the final tournament and things like that. They're the ones that stick with you. And I think having those scenes, like in the Cell Saga, Gohan killing Cell, it's one of those scenes that always sticks with you. The final tournament is one for me. And so I think that's why, for me, Buu Saga's the one.
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff with Trunks, and then he like knocks him out to kind of save him and stuff because Trunks wanted to help out, and just seeing him actually bond with his son, which doesn't happen much, was nice to see. Well, I mean, he
not
bonds
out, but yeah, I know what
he
you
bonds
mean.
with future Trunks, but you don't really see him bonding with kid Trunks at any point before this, really. So it was nice to see that he actually kind of cares about him.
When does he say, if you can punch me, I'll take you shopping? Is that the start of the Buu Saga or something like that?
It might have been, but I guess you don't
Or is
really
that
see it
film?
until
I
Super.
can't remember. I can't remember it. But yeah, I think that's the closest thing to Bond, and other than that.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you do have some good points, and I do have to admit, I think out of all of the sagas, the Buu saga probably is the one, apart from the Saiyan saga, but it is the one where Vegeta's kind of focused on the most, just because he is kind of the big bad for a while as Margin, and then the big sacrifice, which I mean, it doesn't really help in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the sentiment there and everything. But yeah, I honestly thought Frieza Saga, he was more impactful because of a couple of things. Like the Saiyan Saga built him up to be this big bad, and like you kind of say, he is kind of interchangeable. It could have been anyone. The only kind of redeeming factor he has is that he's strong and he's the prince. That's kind of it for up until this point. This is kind of the only stuff you know about him. In the Frieza Saga, he was still a villain. You know, he was still a villain, but his motivations changed. Like, he becomes more of a reluctant anti-hero, I guess. This is when, I guess, the fans started to take more notice of Vegeta, because he started just doing stuff more than just fight. You know, he got more character development. And, you know, he still keeps his brutal side as well. He does kill every member of the Ginyu Force. You know,
Burner kill.
Yeah.
The Burner stomp.
He didn't even need to kill all of them. Like, Goku knocked them out, well, knocked two of them out, and Vegeta still was like, nope, that's not good enough, and kills them. You know, the decapitation of Goldo as well is obviously brutal. But yeah, like, if it wasn't for Vegeta during this whole saga, this is what I mean. This is what I'm trying to talk about when I'm thinking he was the most impactful in the saga. If Vegeta wasn't on Namek, the Ginyu Force would have easily overpowered Krillin, Piccolo, and Gohan, and probably, if they teamed up, would have been able to overpower Goku as well with Frieza's help. And, you know, Vegeta also kills Dodoria and Zarbon, which are two of Frieza's more, like, closer henchmen, I guess. So Vegeta, he racks up the body count in this saga, you know? He is changing, and, like...
But he needs a second crack at Zarbon, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does need a second crack, but he still ends up getting him. He does kill him in the end. But it's like, he shows in this saga that it's not all about himself, because for this one, he's actively trying to stop Frieza from getting his wish of becoming immortal, which is why, without him stealing the Dragon Balls, Frieza probably would have got his wish granted. Which is
still hilarious, like when he throws the Dragon Balls across the planet from the ship.
Like, imagine if Vegeta wasn't there, Krillin, Piccolo, and Gohan probably would have got overpowered, and Bulma, I guess she was there as well. You know, the Ginyu Force and Zarbon and Dodoria would have got the Dragon Balls a lot quicker. Frieza would have got his wish because Goku wouldn't have made it there in time, and yeah, the whole series could have changed from that point if Vegeta wasn't there to kill people and to kind of slow down Frieza getting the Dragon Balls, which is great. You know, but the biggest point that I think was impactful in this entire saga was actually Vegeta's death. Because it's the first time, like, he's still ruthless, he's still, you know, that badass anti-hero type character throughout the saga. But during his death, when Frieza kills him, and he's just before he dies, and he's lying on the floor talking to Goku, it's the first time he's like vulnerable, and he pushes his pride to the side, and he's talking to Goku, talking about how Frieza destroyed his race, destroyed his planet, and he tells Goku, like, all through the saga, he's like, I want to power up, I want to be the legendary Super Saiyan. And he tells Goku, like, actually, you're the true Super Saiyan. And it's like a big moment, because it's like, wow, you don't expect to hear this from Vegeta, who up until this point has been kind of just this guy who goes around killing people.
Basically, he begs him to beat him, doesn't he?
Yeah. I mean, it's the first time, like, you see him actually team up with Krillin and Gohan to help out, which after the Saiyan saga, with Krillin having the chance to kill him, but Goku telling him to stop, it's like, you wouldn't expect Vegeta, of all people, to team up with Krillin, who was trying to kill him, but he does, just to take out the Ginyu Force, because he needs to. He sees the higher aim here, which is to stop Frieza, and he puts that aside to team with Krillin, which is great. And he even asks Krillin to he trusts Krillin to not kill him, but to almost kill him. And Krillin puts a hole through his chest, which works.
Never seen Krillin so powerful, by the way. Yeah. Like, could he have not done that in the Saiyan saga?
Imagine if Krillin just put in like an extra 5% effort and actually kills Vegeta outright right then. Imagine what difference that would have made with Vegeta actually dying instead of being close to death. But of course, I mean, when Dende heals him, he still thanks him by kicking him to the side. But he doesn't want to become too soft by just saying, "Oh, thank you." But no, he still kicks him to the side and say, "Yeah, thanks," and then gets back to his
small
business.
green child.
But this is Vegeta kind of at his best. I think he shows his ruthless side. He shows that he can still be vulnerable. He shows that he can actually like put aside his pride and focus on a better aim of trying to stop a bigger evil. And this, like, I think out of every character in Dragon Ball, Vegeta does have the best overall arc throughout the entire series. Just the way he grows from being ruthless to being a bit more vulnerable, to being caring, to starting a family and everything. But I think the Saiyan saga is where, not the Saiyan saga, the Frieza saga is where it all begins.
No, it's decent. I mean, because I thought about him in the Android Cell saga, and he basically just he screws the pooch every second he gets. He lets Cell evolve. He screws over everybody there. He literally does nothing but cause problems. The only time he does pretty much anything particularly positive is at the end when he hits Cell with an energy blast to distract him.
Yeah. So
that Gohan can finish it. It's like, it's pretty much, in the grand scheme of things, the only true positive thing that he does.
It's true. Like, when I was thinking back to research this topic a bit more, I was looking back in each saga and seeing what he did, and I was like, he was just a nuisance in the Cell saga. He was so annoying at times. Like, his character growth in the Frieza saga was great, and even at the start of the androids before Cell, it was still growing, because you see him like become more, well, not friendly, but he interacts more with other people without wanting to kill them, with all the Z Warriors and Goku and that, and then obviously he starts his relationship with Bulma, and very quickly has a kid. But
about.
After Cell is introduced, he's nothing but a pain, and he kind of regresses a bit, but he's definitely the beginning of the true Vegeta arc is during the Frieza saga, I think. But I
will agree with that.
Yeah, the Buu saga, he definitely has his big moments, and I would agree that he is probably the main part of the Buu saga for a good while, especially during the margin stages. But yeah, he does good. Vegeta's always around, whether good or bad.
He's our boy. He's our boy, Vegeta.
He's the guy. But yeah, gotta love Vegeta, no matter what saga he's in. So I guess you guys in the comment section, what do you think? Do you think Vegeta was at his peak in the Saiyan saga? You know, the Frieza saga, Cell saga, maybe. I doubt it, but maybe. Or the B saga for the list of Z sagas, at least. Anyway, leave a comment down below, and I'm sure we'll look at it and judge you silently.